Now, I did only go to Anime Expo Chibi for one day, but I do think that that was more than enough time for this video. That's it. That's my intro. Hey, I'm Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about Anime Expo Chibi, a offshoot of Anime Expo that happens in Los Angeles. This is their fall event that is much smaller, hence the Chibi. Chibi style, also known as super deformation, is a style of character originating in Japan and common in anime and manga where characters are drawn in an exaggerated way, typically small and chubby with stubby limbs, oversized heads, and minimal detail. Personally, I like Chibi art. I think it's very fun. I think it's adorable. It's not definitely my preferred style of art, but as far as like fan art goes, it's definitely one of the more like, oh, this is fun, especially when it's like a character or a actor or person, okay, or athlete, you know, and making them like really small. I just find that funny. But really quick, let me tell you about the sponsor for today's video, Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform to help you stand out and succeed online. Whether you want to make a blog to review movies or have a website to show off your work and maybe sell it, Squarespace is everything you could need to get started. With their incredible templates and design intelligence, you can build a beautiful, more personalized website tailored to your unique needs. Squarespace Payments is the easiest way to manage your payments in one place, and they've made it incredibly easy to sell content on your website like online courses, blogs, videos, and memberships. Go to squarespace.com to get started with a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Swell Entertainment to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. One of the booths, which they were out when I went, which was devastating. I should have had Anarchy buy it for me because Anarchy and Chris went both days for Anime Expo Chibi because they are cosplay creators, so that's why they went. I went because I'm an event goblin, but Anarchy had been walking around the artist alley and was like, they have Chibi art of Shohei Ohtani. And I was like, can you get it for me? And by the time we went back, they had sold out. It was gone. It was an Anime Expo Chibi exclusive. It was Chibi art of Shohei Ohtani. And that would have been very funny. I'm very bummed I did not get it. But it is what it is. You guys actually asked me to go to Chibi way before you asked me to go to Anime Expo. I think there's some mixed misunderstandings about my anxiety because I do have generalized anxiety disorder. I have my own issues, okay, with trauma and the like. But somehow I think people thought I had social anxiety, which it sometimes is a manifestation of my anxiety, but I think the reason people wanted me to do Chibi versus Anime Expo is they thought I couldn't handle Anime Expo with like the amount of people, because it is insane. This event overall is much more vibey, but I think that might be why people were asking me to go to Anime Expo Chibi before they were asking me to go to Anime Expo, if that makes sense. I've literally just come to that conclusion currently, so I could be wrong, but that was my understanding when I went to Anime Expo the first time. I had quite a few people that are like, are you good? And I was like, have I given you guys the impression that I'm bad in crowds? I don't like being cramped, but no one does. I thrive in chaos. I'm a goblin. But Anime Expo Chibi, I do think, is very good for anyone who is possibly considering doing Anime Expo and is overwhelmed and you want something that is much smaller. Overall, this was much less crowded, much less attended, I would say, and also just overall much smaller. Anarchy said this is a good year for me to go because she's like, previously it's been a lot of like just the artist alley and food trucks and the like, and they usually don't do like guest appearances and panels and things like that. This year they had like a full expo hall, which not to say that they haven't previously, I'm going off of what my friend told me. This year they had like a regular full expo hall that was more like the vendor hall, I would say, more than anything. There were booths that were like vendor booths, but it's not the same thing as it is with like Anime Expo, where there were like full actual animes that were represented. There was a couple at Anime Expo Chibi. There was one booth that I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I looked closer and Anarchy was like, Amanda, do you see what I'm seeing? It was AI art. I do like that they made like a little rail spot. Yeah. Why? What was the point of that? It wasn't even difficult. It wasn't even like a design. It was just, we're going to make a train, like a rail car. You couldn't draw that? You couldn't hire someone to, oh my God. Okay. It looked like ass, okay? I'll say that. The expo hall was obviously much smaller. There's only one wing. This is at the Ontario Convention Center in Ontario. Much smaller. You definitely can do this in one day. And I talked to quite a few people on Sunday that were like, yeah, I wasn't even gonna come this day, but most of my friends were coming today. That's like the really only reason I was here. I think I literally bought my ticket on Friday and the event was on Saturday. So very much last minute ticket options, totally fine. It was about $30 and I bought a Sunday general admission ticket for like $33, okay? Very affordable, very cheap for a one-day event. I think that's more than reasonable. That's borderline a steal, especially for when you compare it to like the Anime Expo costs themselves. But again, you're looking at the size of the venue versus the size of the event and all that. Now, for the Sunday tickets, though I did get like a Sunday wristband when I got there, my ticket actually was for like, really, it was just a one-day general admission, so I could have just gone on Saturday if I had so chosen to. I decided against it because I had just gotten back from SEMA on Friday. I went first thing in the morning. I was there right after opening. And Anarchy messaged me and she was like, hey, we're like walking over from our hotel. I was like, okay, cool. I'm walking around to go to ticketing. And so I was walking around and they kept being like, okay, yeah, you just go to the ticket box like down by the entrance. So I walk in and I see the ticket spot with the scanners, okay, for bag checks and the like, okay, and I have my ticket open with my QR code. I was like, oh, do you need to check my bag? And they were like, no, walk through. And I'm looking around for where they should scan my ticket. And I see Anarchy and Chris inside the venue. And I'm like, oh, hey. And they're like, oh, I was like, was I supposed to get a wristband? I didn't get a wristband. She was like, they didn't ask to see your wristband? I was like, no. She was like, oh, that's bad. You're not supposed to be in here. Brings me to the exit and walks me out. She was like, they didn't ask your wristband? I was like, no, they just let me walk in. She was like, they asked us. I was wearing a sweater, my sleeves, my wrists were covered probably like this. Funny enough, when we went back through, there were different security guards there. So I don't know what happened or if that was an ongoing issue. But we went in, just kind of went straight into the dealer's hall / expo hall and just kind of started walking around. Side note, I got so much car stuff here. I am fascinated by the Japanese car scene. I think it's really cool. And it's not uncommon for me to get good car merch or car art while I'm at an anime convention, okay? But this one in particular, like probably like 1 in 7 booths, like across the board, was a car booth or had something car related with it, which is not the norm for like what I've experienced. So I was very excited. I have like a whole haul. Anarchy was like, how does she keep finding car things? Because she does not like that a lot of my hobbies fall in line with a 12-year-old boy. Severe lack of Ninja Turtle stuff, though. That doesn't help the 12-year-old boy argument, does it? No, it does not. God damn it. I was really hoping with the resurgence of like the movie and then the show that like we were going to get way more Ninja Turtle stuff when I go to conventions, but no. I'm being starved. When it comes to halls like this, I am finding that there are quite a lot of small businesses. I definitely always encourage you to like look at the smaller businesses versus the ones where it's like, oh, they're selling this thing that I've seen on Amazon or this thing that I saw on AliExpress. Like I do encourage you to like look a little deeper. However, there was a lot of people seemingly panic buying, both here and in the artist alley, because for those of you who don't know, I'm still in the anger stage for the election, for those of you wondering. The likelihood that the tariff situation under a Trump presidency will lead to a lot of items from artist alleys and things like that either being much more expensive or extinct entirely. And you will start seeing a lot of small businesses and brands either losing a lot of their items that you may love or just having much more limited stock is not a 0% chance. So there was a lot of people buying things en masse. Even when we went to the maid cafe that we did, a lot of them were like, oh yeah, no, as you can understand, we all love AliExpress and we're just clearing out our carts currently. That was the vibes that for pretty much every conversation that I had there. On a more positive note, there was quite a lot of people that were in cosplay. They do have cosplay sets here the same way they do at Anime Expo. These sets I honestly think were better than the ones at Anime Expo because yes, there were far less, but the lighting in this room was so good. And that's something that I always find to be something that I hear the most complaints from my friends that do cosplay, whether it's Anarchy and Chris or my other friends that I've just made going to all these conventions, is the likelihood that you will go to a set at an anime convention for cosplays that are not well lit. So to be in a ballroom that had so much lighting. It was great. I even got some photos here because they had a classroom set up with a like a chalkboard. And I was like, this is a good meme template for me. Lessons with Swell. Very happy with those. This is obviously a smaller venue. So this room, as opposed to the expo hall at Anime Expo, is much smaller. So it is more cramped on some spots. But again, because there's significantly less people here, it's not nearly as like sardined as you would be at Anime Expo. Oh, I almost had a repeat of my Anime LA video, or was it LA Comic Con? I think it was LA Comic Con or Anime LA, where I bought one of those 18 and up mystery bags, and then it was just a penis plushie, and I was annoyed. I almost repeated that because I saw the same vendor again here, and I was like, it would be so funny if I did this again. And Anarchy was like, no, you're not giving them more money. So I did not, especially because that video ended up getting demonetized because of that goddamn penis plushie. So no, we're not letting them win again today. The artist alley was outside, and outside as well between the expo hall and the artist alley was a couple of strips of more booths. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm tired. I forgot my sunglasses. It was really bright. The time change messes. I don't know what it does to the sun. It messes with my eyes constantly. We could also blame climate change, and that's why my eyes are just currently on fire. Now, a lot of this space was stuff that you can find on Amazon, which is annoying. Get your bag, but also if someone's selling nails that like Anarchy bought recently for like $5, you're selling them for 30, the exact same nails, that's annoying. We didn't buy much out here. There were a couple of other small businesses out here. There were, again, more car booths. And this is also where the signing was out here, which I do think is weird because I don't know why you wouldn't put the signing spaces for the voice actors that were here inside. They were outside facing the artist alley, so that can be fairly loud. I guess it's probably for line control so that they can control the lines, but I don't know why you wouldn't just do. This convention center is fairly large. There were a couple of rooms that they used for like employees only and things like that. Maybe you could have used one of those rooms for this or something. I don't know. The artist alley was in a tent outside that was well ventilated, well AC'd. It was a borderline chilly in here, okay? However, what was that smell? It had a very weird chlorine smell to it. Anarchy warned me before I went in, and I was wearing a mask because, like I said, I just did SEMA, and so I do not want to be a super spreader. So when I go from like one convention to another, like in close proximity, if I don't have time to quarantine, I will mask up. That's my prerogative. I don't care about your comments. Even through my mask, I could still smell the chlorine smell. It was pretty distinctly chlorine, and I was like, I assume what it was because they were blasting air. I don't know if a filter needed to be changed. I don't know if they changed it too quickly. I don't know if there was a cleaning solution on the filter or something. Like it was very prominent, and it wasn't like one booth selling something or anything like that. Like it was a very clear, like this is something with the tent issue. But a lot of the vendors that I spoke to, a lot of the artists that I spoke to, some recognized me, which is very nice as always. You guys are always in the artist alley. What you guys drawing? What you drawing right now? Anything good? Anything fun? A lot of them were like, oh, this is like, I don't even do Artist Alley at Anime Expo anymore. Like, this is definitely my preferred. It's much easier to do. We went to a couple of panels. A few of them was just to sit down and breathe. I do wish that there were more seating outside. There was tables at a lot of spots, and there was seating. There was not a lot of cover for the seatings, and by not a lot, I mean zero. I do think it's because they just didn't expect it to be this hot. They literally had heaters outside because I fairly certain they expected it to be cold, and that's why they didn't have any like sun covers or anything out. I wish there was a good more like tables and such with chairs, but there wasn't zero, so I do want to make that note. There was a good amount of food selection. I was devastated because the one booth with Dongo sold out yesterday. Disappointed. I don't know why I always talk about the convention food prices because everyone's like, oh my God, that's so expensive. But it's like, that's not, I talk about it because I know you guys want to know about the cost of goods and things like that. It's not uncommon for these to be more expensive because they know that you don't want to leave the convention. That's typically what happens. That's why I encourage you to avoid food trucks and stick with like more actual vendors and things like that. And then if you go inside the convention hall and eat inside the convention hall, you run the risk of the food being not cheap and also bad. I got like some hand rolls that were expensive. They claim it's Wagyu, but you don't actually know. So those were $33 for 2 of these things. And I already had a big water with me. So ate that. It was good. It was fine. There was also a stage outside where they were doing dances and songs and performances and all of that. Went and watched a couple of those, nothing too crazy, but most of the time we were just inside, meandering, walking around, getting our bearings, buying things. So one panel we went into was a Gundam Jeopardy panel. Anarchy tried to dare me to go up and try and answer a question because most of them were multiple choice. I probably could have guessed my way through it, but I decided against it because I was like, I think I'd rather eat glass. No offense to Gundam enjoyers. I just don't know anything. And I was like, I'm not in the mood to be mortified today. Just not in my mood. These halls were big with a lot of chairs. So the event that we really wanted to go to, because Anarchy loves Love and Deep Space. I have played Love in Deep Space. I'm not obsessed with it. I'm not hardcore into it, okay? But I've played it on stream and we've discussed it, and I enjoy hearing the updates and seeing people on TikTok losing their minds over it because I find it very funny. If you're wondering, I'm a Zane girl because of course I am. But one of the last panels of the day was going to be this Love in Deep Space panel. So me and Anarchy, we were like, okay, well, we got to try and stay for this. It was actually going to be right after our maid cafe appointment. So Anarchy had sent me on Saturday, like, hey, there is like 1 or 2 more maid cafe spots available. And I was like, oh, perfect. So I went on Open Table and I booked a table for 3 for the Dreamland Maid Cafe in Anime Expo Chibi. Why? Because I like reviewing the little fun things that you get to do inside of a convention. And I previously, last year, reviewed a Butler Cafe at Anime Expo. Now, I was not allowed to film inside that Butler Cafe. So imagine my delight and surprise when I got to film inside Dreamland Maid Cafe at Anime Expo Chibi. Not only just that was I allowed, there was a sign on the table that said, photos and videos are encouraged. It's like they knew I was coming. It was $20 per person, so I paid $63 for the service fee and all of that. You're basically paying for the experience itself, and then if you want to eat and drink, you got to pay extra. 1 to 2 maids recognize me again, which is always fun and exciting and does not stress me out at all. It's fine. Anarchy loves when you guys recognize me when she's around because she knows that my fight or flight activates. I am fine with you guys recognizing me. That's totally fine. Come and say hi. Ask for a photo. It's totally chill, okay? As long as I'm not actively eating or something, like that's my only request is like if I'm actively eating or you look, or I'm having a mental breakdown, like I'm crying in public, I would prefer if you didn't ask for a photo. The second part doesn't always happen regularly, but the eating one, you will most likely see me eating in public. I go out to eat quite a lot. I like food. So I do request that you just wait for those ones. Something like this, I expected a little bit more because it's a convention and I have a lot of fans that are weebs. Love you. So I'm expecting it a little bit more. But when I'm sitting down for an experience that I know I'm going to be like reviewing and then also like, I don't know, it's like a really weird thing for me when I'm like, oh yeah, it's a viewer. And then also like you're my maid for this afternoon. Like it feels like I feel shitty. But you guys were all very great. I almost wish that in those instances it would happen later because it's not uncommon as well where it's like I go to a restaurant and then at the end, like as I'm paying, like the waiter or waitress is like, I love your videos, by the way. I then start overanalyzing everything I did for the last hour and a half. But aside from that, I almost prefer that so I'm not like anxious and like quiet the entire time. The Dreamland one was very fun. Fun performances. They all did lip singing versus for when I did the Butler Cafe, a good chunk of them were singing as well as dancing. They sold light sticks. A couple guys came out with, I think they had these guys brought their own light sticks and they had choreographed dance numbers. I don't know if they were plants or if they just really were like, this is our space in the back of the room. They were going ham. Very impressive. Very cool. We've all got drinks that were pretty good. I still wish there was more strawberry in mine, but that's just me. And then we got the cinnamon roll that was not a cinnamon roll. It was like a raspberry roll. I do think there needed to be more raspberry filling because it was a tad dry. And then we got the chocolate parfaits and then a vanilla parfait. Anarchy got the last one that they had for the day, which the parfaits were the same. It was just the scoop of ice cream they had on top. And I like chocolate. So I was like, okay, we're good. Although Anarchy did get mad at me because I took a bite. I put my spoon in the bear before they could do the magic blast and magic my food. And she was like, they didn't put the magic on it. I was like, I'm so sorry. We did do finger guns instead of... I'm not laughing at the concept. I was just laughing at how... I have never seen Anarchy do that before. Like, get that serious over something like that. She was like, they didn't put the magic on it. What are you doing? And that whole experience was very funny because I've never seen her do that before. She gets on me about taking things far too seriously. And so to see her do that, this is the thing. I respect that. I love it. But it did take me out. After that, we went to the Love in Deep Space panel. The room that they ended up giving the Love in Deep Space panel was a big room, but there was no chairs. Why? There was other halls too that like, maybe this was a late edition panel or something, but like there was other halls that I knew were probably not in use at that time. They easily could have put them in that halls. I don't get the no chairs thing. It was very odd. And there was a lot of Love in Deep Space cosplays across the board here at Anime Expo Chibi. It was mostly a fan thing where they were just talking about the game and like explaining it and playing. They played a Zane audio that was so ridiculous and unhinged. And like the moment he started talking, to hear several people in the room gasp or groan, I was like, listen, I don't dislike this game, but this is not my hyperfixation. I'm very boring when it comes to this game in that it's like, I haven't opened the game in a couple of weeks, if not months. To see people's reactions this viscerally when I know that they check in for like their dailies and things like that is very interesting. I was gonna say it's like being the only it's like being someone in a section and you're the only one not crying at a Taylor Swift concert. Like it's almost like that experience, but it's not. It's like, oh, okay, am I doing something wrong? Like that I'm not as involved, you know what I'm saying? They talked about like just the different guys a little bit, and then I actually ended up leaving because I had to drive back to walk Hermes. So I had been gone the full day at this point. I left not long into when they were like, oh, we want you to like vote for like who's your guy or whatever. We have sticky notes for you. Sorry, they're wet. Apparently there was never an explanation given as to why the sticky notes were wet. There's a lot happening in the Love and Deep Space room. There's Xavier, Zane, Silas, and Raphael. There was no Raphael cut out. So they had their Raphael cosplayer that was like part of the panel, who was the one that would be taking on the sticky notes. So you'd go and stick your sticky note onto that Raphael. I do think I draw the line at that point. Like that's where I was like, I'm not even voting for Raphael and I'm still gonna go. Like I'm done. I do want to go walk my dog. So I walked out, okay. And literally as I got out the door and like left the venue to like walk to my car, Anarchy texted me and was like, I think a fight just broke out. Excuse me? She said, I think a fight broke out for a sec. There was a lot of commotion and someone left and I'm an asshole. So I said, what? Several question marks. Film? Question marks. And she said, it's over now. It was during the Post-it thing. And I said, weird. And then like I called later and she was like, yeah, no, I was looking at my phone because I wasn't going to do the Post-it thing. And like Chris wasn't paying attention. I heard shuffling and then someone was like yelling and then walked, like someone stormed out. And then they like acted like nothing was wrong and then continued the panel. So I don't know what happened there. Because if it was during the Post-it thing, I assume what happened, because it wasn't anyone on the panel. It wasn't any of the cosplayers. So I assume what happened is someone may have gotten like, because everyone, again, you're sitting on the floor. There's not really a, hey, let's go everyone at a time. Like maybe if you are a Zane girl, let's go all one at a time. Like that would have been smart, maybe. What it sounds like may have happened just based off context clues as someone who was not there. It sounds like maybe someone shoved someone out of the way or was a little too like, yeah, I want to go give this to Silas or something like that. Or they cut someone else off to go do that. And then maybe that led to a little like confrontation. And that's why someone stormed off. Like you blocked my spot or something. If you were there, if you know what happened, shoot me a DM. I will keep it confidential. I'm nosy. I won't even post about it. I just want to know what happened. All in all, will I do Anime Expo Chibi again? I do think this is a fun like one-day con if you want to go. And that's something fun. It's one of the more affordable ones. If you were thinking about maybe doing Anime Expo in the future, but you're like really overwhelmed about the prospect, I do think this is a good option for you. Would love if you guys could outline AI art, but I know you won't. That's going to be it. Have you ever been to Anime Expo Chibi? Have you ever been to Anime Expo? Have you ever heard of Anime Expo Chibi? What is a celebrity athlete fan art that you would like to see chibi art made of? Let me know. Comment down below. Reminder, I stream on Twitch. Reminder, the Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Reminder to use code SWELL for 10% off on gamer subs. Shout out to my channel members. If you would like to be a channel member as well, you can go ahead and click the join button down below. If you'd like to follow me on social media, that'll be all up here. And that's going to have a day. Goodbye. This Godzilla car shirt. There's another one.